There are so many lessons to be learned from Hurricane Melissa, both as a country, as individuals, or small groups. We'll look at a few of these in this conversation that we're going to be having today.
The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me. Yeah.
Hello, Wagwan, pick up yourself, whether you're there yard or you're there abroad. Welcome back to another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. Now, on this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the lessons to be learned. And a few people have already gone ahead and had a look at the UN report that was done and some of the pointers that they have raised on there. On this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the lessons that have been learned that will benefit people living on the island or people who are in the diaspora considering to come back to Jamaica to live, or to come back for whatever period of time that they decide that they want to come back and grace this lovely island with their presence. One of the first and most important thing that many people might want to consider is construction, and whether or not the materials and the nature in which houses are being constructed are going to be able to withstand hurricane and earthquake, and the materials that are being used in this regard. One of the other factor to be considered is in terms of roofs and them blowing off, and whether or not decking would become a more consistent pattern in Jamaica for building houses, because with those there is no risk of roof blowing off. However, one also has to think about the sealant that is going to be used on those roofing, because of course that will help to prevent leakage in and flooding from water that might be on top of the roof. So whether it's about the way in which the roof is designed, the gradient with which it is designed, or the sealant, or a combination of these factors. Now, these are things that people who are constructing need to have more conversations about with their architect. And for those people who are buying on the island, need to be able to do more investigation with regards to this, and their solicitors asking more questions in regard to these facilities or these aspects or character of the houses that they're going to be buying. One of the other things that might need to be considered as well is things like hurricane shutters, because a lot of people tend to use awning in Jamaica, and when those are down in rain, they might help to prevent some water coming in. But when you think about it in a hurricane and the winds blowing around, whether or not hurricane shutters would become a better feature to be using and helping with preventing windows from shattering, as well as water from coming in those times when heavy rain is blowing water around to prevent flooding of homes. There are also other modifications that people might need to consider when they're building their houses, and therefore this is something that people will need to give closer attention to in the future, as well as people decide to modify the current buildings that they have. If decking is not the option, are there more hurricane resilient roofing systems that are available that could be employed in construction in Jamaica to ensure that people are not facing the risk of losing their roof whenever there is a hurricane passing by or directly impacting the island? The second thing to consider is vegetation and its impact that it has in a hurricane. So for example, currently we have lots of fruit forests and trees that just grows and grows, but what are the implications that those have? And maybe it might be something that need to be a part of the Jamaican culture, to systematically making sure that they are trimming back or pruning trees and removing trees that have the possibility of causing harm, so that they are preventing large limbs and trees from falling on houses, individuals, cables that are run above ground, or causing blockages of roads. This would require individuals with land with these trees that could become hazardous to be active in ensuring that they are doing the necessary work to prune them back. It would also require the municipality to work resiliently and to work effectively in ensuring that they are also pruning and cutting back trees where they could become hazardous in conditions like that. And this might become a new way moving forwards. Also, after the branches have been cut and the hazard that those pose, it might be worth a shredding machines that can then re-fertilize the soil with the branches that have been removed, so that they do not become a problem on the landscape and cause hazard should there be flooding in any case or any event. The third concern that I want to talk about, or lesson to be learned, is from connectivity and services. We've learned from Beryl and again from Hurricane Melissa of the impact that the hurricane have on our connectivity and the services that we're provided. And so it might be that we need to invest in more off-grid resources, such as internet facilities, as well as generators, solar systems, or wind turbines, to then be able to have sufficiently functioning facilities and services for whenever we have events of natural disasters. This is because sometimes it will appear to us that the providers seem to work at their own leisure to bring connection, and in those periods of time people are living without in places and situations where they desperately need to have connection. Of course, there's a system that is at work, and when we're not getting our supply, it feels like that. It feels like this person is just taking forever to get this thing done, but in reality it's the fact that there are systems and protocols that they need to follow. So having our own systems, or at least systems that we can use as backup when necessary, is something that is definitely worth considering. And given our experience of needing to get connection for things that needed to be done, we can totally see how this might be something that people are considering more so now. One of the things we saw a lot over this period of Hurricane Melissa, especially in areas that had significant flooding, is the amount of debris and the amount of rubbish, garbage that was there, causing blockage of drains or just washed out and causing backup and flooding along different stretch. And of course, these are very much things that have a direct impact, and therefore our drainage system and our garbage system are things that we also need to consider. And the drainage system is something that need to be cleaned more consistently. Can't just have a clean here and there. It needs to be something that's ongoing throughout the year, and somehow municipalities need to figure out how they're going to earmark money that is going to do that. However, as people living on the island, we also have our part to play, because a lot of the blockage have been caused by rubbish that just sits there and just means that the water cannot drain away into the drains that it needs to go into, because rubbish is blocking the way, because people are just discarding of their rubbish poorly. Therefore, it might require better education about the effects of poorly disposing of our garbage and how this impact the drainage system, and as mentioned, cleaning them more frequently to make sure that debris is being removed and weed that's growing up in there are also being taken out, so that the water have more space for it to run off to. Another factor to consider is also having runoff spaces where water can run off to, so that it is not running into spaces that can become flooded, but it has a runoff zone where water can run off into and then seep away over time, so that it avoids flooding residential communities or other significantly urbanized areas. Rainfall is increasing not just in Jamaica but the whole Caribbean region, and as such we need to have more systems in place that helps them manage heavy flow of water when rain falls, especially in the rainy season but throughout the whole year. The fifth thing we want to talk about is the national services that are provided. This is less about the typical Jamaican living on the island, and more so about the corporations and the people who are policymakers that have the jurisdiction and the capability of making decisions where these things are concerned. But it would be good for them to consider investing in running internet completely and electric completely underground, so that it reduces the impact of having poles going down and broken wires on that hampers communication and have negative impact on businesses and emergency facilities. Because when these cables go down, it just affects so many things and so many places. And where they can be run underground, this should be utilized more. Developments should be putting them in underground as new developments are emerging, and slowly over time earmarking different cities and parishes where they can start to run these cables underground, so that it's benefiting everybody in the long run, instead of using the monies that are earmarked for disaster when there is hurricane and JPS needs to replace their poles and wires and things like that. Some of those money can also be used wisely in starting to earmark areas in the country where they can start to run these services underground, using some of those very funds to be able to do so. Because once that is happening, then it becomes less of a need in the long run for having all of that money to be used in these events of emergency. Because when the cables are underground, there isn't a lot of poles and cables that are going to be breaking above ground, and therefore that would be a good way of utilizing those funds. Do tell us what you think, and what are some of the other things that you think are things that you would need to consider if you make the decision and the choice that you're going to come to Jamaica for whatever period of time that you decide to come and live. And those of us who are in Jamaica currently and who've had the first-hand experience of some of these eventualities, what are some of the things that you've learned as lessons that you think are things to consider? Do tell us in the comment section below. We look forward to reading them. Well, when you don't have what you want, you have to figure out how you're going to make it possible. This is Eliona. She get our travel sewing machine, and she realized they can't use battery, so she put the battery in, and now she decides that she'll go do some sewing. Yep, boredom give her strategy. You say you try to find way to keep yourself entertained.
This was my plan when tower came, but when tower comes back.
That you would do this? Okay, so
but with the bigger machine.
We've done board games, we've done crosswords, we've done word searches, we've done all sorts of games and things, and we've done lots of different creativity. We need to see because you had gone back to work on your snake, didn't you? But you stopped, and then you were doing your square. I finished mine. I'll show you guys one of the day. But Eliona is making sure to get on with our work of art. So she has a top. She doesn't like how it fits on her, so she is amending it to make it fit how she wants it to fit, because they're going to be heading back out to school, and they're wearing
It looks like I took too much off, but I didn't. I measured it.
Okay, they're going back out in non-casual clothing, so she's getting herself ready for that. We still haven't had electric back, so we haven't washed, and I have no interest to go and hand wash, so we'll just have to wait for that electric to come back. When we first came, when I started my sabbatical and we first came, I had to do some hand washing until we got the machine, and I've done a bit of hand washing here and there, but it's not something I want to sit around and do with all of that amount of clothes. So I'm happy to wait for the electric to come back, and then we can go from there. Fine pieces, yes, but not all of them big pieces of clothing there right now. So I'm going to let you get on with it, and then you show us the end product. I'm going to go start another crochet project, so later. I just came to JPS again to try and pay the bill that I have to pay, and they're still not open. So one of the persons I've seen, and I've come to be informed that they are closed until further notice, but they're giving customers an extension until December 15th to pay whatever bill that they have outstanding. So I guess I'll come back and try and get that done closer to the date. So it's always good to have these information so that we're not stressing ourselves, because I was like, they're not open again. They haven't been open since, because this is my second time coming. But between the first and the second time, I was told by somebody when I was in the vicinity to come up that they're closed still. So it's good to know now that I don't need to spend my time coming back until December 15th. So I'll go on to my other event that I have today. I was walking past and I saw this thing. I'm wondering, what's that on the sign? When me look, see what's up there. Let's have a look what's up there. Wow, I did not catch that. Him do it too fast. On sprint cross to the other tree. I'm telling you, wow, I do not like seeing these things, but hey, they might find new ways to adapt now that the leaves and branches are reduced. So we're going to go to this restaurant just to get some stuff, and as a little bit of a celebration for getting out of our little first phase. So this is where we're going, and we will show you our order once we get it. After you, my lady. Yeah, we'll let you know what we get when we get it. And here we go. Yeah. They didn't have any green peppers, so we just took the other topping option, and that's that. Yeah, but they're both the same. So when I want to share, but nobody want to share the other one. Everybody want their own thing. Hey, everybody want their own thing. So that's that. So it turns out one of the pizza has jalapenos and the next one had pineapple. We wanted a mixture of both, but it's fine. I got some pineapple and Eliona and I share, so I'm having jalapenos and I got to get some pineapples. So it all turned out good. Me get to taste both things.
The Jam Fam family. Where Irie living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. The Jam Fam family. Where Irie living the good life. We're royal, cruising through the West Indies, having fun, enjoying the good life. Jam Fam family, the Jam Fam family, yeah. The Jam Fam family. Jam Fam, come hang with me, yeah.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on this another episode of Life with the Jam Fams. We appreciate you staying and watching and listening, and we do look forward to seeing you in the next one. So bye for now and do take care.